Hello and welcome to the Useless Wisdom Podcast. We're joined here today by myself, Brian. It's your turn, bud.
Oh, okay. I'm Jacob. Brandon.
Jamie.
Carrie.
And this is going to be an episode for the ladies, or the men that are confused about ladies, because we got some questions for them coming up next.
Well, wouldn't that be us?
Well, yeah, we're the one with the questions, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, so let's first start off with, I don't know, let's not do a heavy topic. Let's do, why are girls so competitive with each other?
In what context are you asking?
Women, just from talking to Jamie about this, women look at other women, like they'll check them out, like top to bottom, freaking, like stare at their ass for a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
But for what reason do you think they do it for?
What reason?
Because you're saying, are they competitive? I think they might just be gay, the women you're talking about.
Well, Jamie's the one that said she does that.
I never said that I stared at an ass.
That's a just flat out lie. That's not.
I think the bigger issue is you don't know what competitive means.
It's not so much of a competitive thing. It's more of you notice that, like, hey, that's a nice butt. And then you're past it.
But if we do it, we're going to jail.
Or we're gay. Because guys don't look at other guys and be like, God, that's one big fucking dick. You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah, we don't do that. Well, some probably do, but I don't.
You just said that you did that. You're like,
No.
I do. I do that.
Well, what I do is my business. No, I don't know. How about we shut up and let them talk for a minute?
Sorry.
Let me reword his question, because I think he's going in two different directions. So, do you think women are naturally more competitive towards each other in a social standing type situation? Like, it seems like women are more quick to stab each other in the back than men are. Why do you think that is? Or do you think that's true?
I think it just depends on the situation.
What type of situation do you think warrants this type of behavior?
Well, I don't think that it's warranted, but girls get kind of competitive if they like the same guy. Look at, like, high school fights between girls.
What do you think? Do you think that that's something that, like, they grow out of? Or do you think that's just inherently what women are?
I think women still do it. It's just, like, a little more low-key.
More over, and if it was actually serious than just, you looked at my boyfriend wrong, now I'm going to punch you in the face and smoke a cigarette.
Well, we're just more petty about it. It's not more about physical. It's just, like, you know.
You're more likely to, like, say something about it than to punch her in the throat.
You tear them down kind of, like, verbally rather than physically.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I remember in, like, 3rd grade, one of our teachers said, with the boys, they'll punch each other and get over it, but the girls will go behind the slide and talk about each other and hurt each other's feelings. Do you think that's an accurate representation even today of what you see in women and men?
And we're not being at all sexist. Let's just put that out there.
I might be.
What do you think?
It is to a certain extent. Some girls are more physical when it comes to it, but it's more likely that a girl would either silently not even do anything, but just secretly not like that person, or go up to the person, maybe not even confront in person, just over a message, and tell them what their problem is with them instead of being
Stop
physical.
shaking the table.
I'm not.
So you think, like, passive aggressivity is something that grows in women?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, I have a question. So what do you guys think when you hear a woman say that she'd rather just hang out with men? What do you gather from that statement?
Good question.
Jamie, what do you gather from that statement?
I don't think it's that odd.
I don't really either.
Okay, so just the statement itself doesn't mean anything. It just means, it doesn't have much weight to it.
Well, I'm kind of like that because I don't get along with other women.
Why do you think you don't get along with other women?
Because barely any female classmates or whatever throughout the years have said that they've, liked me. It's either I'm just a bitch or anything else.
have you wondered maybe you've done something in these situations to
Have you ever
possibly...
considered that you might be a bitch? Right?
I'm a bitch when they deserve it.
Okay, so what do you think will make someone deserve you to act in such a way?
Them treating me like shit.
Okay, so do you think that's more common in women, is to just treat somebody a certain way than men? Do you think... I feel like men would actually take more time to get to know you before they would treat you so.
Women are more likely to assume things.
Obviously.
Like, before you even meet somebody, someone has already told you something about that person, whether it be good or bad.
You think women are more likely to gossip is pretty much what it boils down
Yeah.
to. I see what you're saying. But and back to my original question. In your experiences, when you see those type of women that exclaim they would rather be around men, what do you learn from them?
Be mean.
Normally when I hear a woman say that,
You think that they're a whore?
no,
No, that's where
but
I thought
that's
this was
usually
going.
what it is. That's not what I initially think, but that's usually what it turns into.
Are females not allowed to have friendships with?
Well, no, of course not. Of course you're allowed to, be friendly with other men. But I just think when you hear a woman say that I think honestly where it comes out of is they're more likely to be manipulated by men. Does that make sense? Because
Why do you think that?
well, I think a lot of the times when you hear that type of statement, they've been emotionally damaged by women, right?
You were just hating on Jamie right now.
No, I don't mean Jamie. I mean generally, not this. Obviously, Jamie's different, but well, I mean, even so, she's been emotionally damaged by other women. That's why she doesn't like being around women as much. I mean, she just said that.
Well,
But
I just don't find common ground with a lot of women because I don't like a lot of the same things that girls do.
that makes sense. But like, when you see that, when other women prefer to just be around men, usually it's they've been emotionally damaged by women, or maybe they didn't have a good relationship with their mother, and then that.
I think there's two different types of girls when it comes to the statement, I'd rather hang out with guys because there's less drama or something like that.
Yeah, quit shaking the table. Yes, you are. Don't tell me.
There
you're not.
is, like Jamie, where she honestly has the, likes of guys. And then there's girls, like the type that you just said, where they hang out with guys because they think it's less drama or...
They're a whore.
I don't want to use that word. Well, I think a lot of it is, I think if you see a woman around a lot of men, they're more likely to be popular than women around women. Do you guys agree with that?
Popular in what way? Like
personal-
passed around the locker room?
No,
Popular or-
no.
Okay.
What were you going to say, James?
Personal experience, I wasn't very popular, so
Well, but I just mean, like, when you look at the women that are popular, when we were all in high school, not you, you look at the women that are popular, like, you'd always see them with men. Like, you wouldn't really see them, like, there might be a couple women sprinkled in, but it was usually a lot of men. Am I wrong?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you're right, Brandon.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, and I agree with you.
Just generally, like, you never saw a big group of women that was popular. Now, I think rather it's just by the nature that men, they're the ones doing the sports. There's more football players than there are cheerleaders. So then just kind of by that virtue, there's going to be more, the men to women ratio of popularity, especially in high school, is going to gear straight towards more the men's side. So that just kind of means that the women that are in that group are naturally going to be around more men and are more popular.
But there are big, cliques of girls
Yeah.
who are popular.
Yeah, I mean, there's always still going to be that, yeah.
So do you think that girls hanging around guys is what makes them popular?
I don't know what causes which. I don't know if it's the hanging around men that they get popular, or if they're popular, or if, I don't think it's hanging around men that get them popular. I think they just happen to be popular, which leads them to being around men.
Are you saying that men are the elite race? Is that what you're...
Well, no, because we couldn't reproduce without women.
So that's what their purpose is?
Just solely to give you babies.
Well, and to raise them.
Wow, that sounds even more sexist.
There's a reason why they put the sink in front of the back door window.
What?
The backyard window, the sink is right.
Oh,
So they can watch the kids play while they wash dishes.
I think it's just like how houses are designed, whether
They were designed for that purpose.
Yeah.
You're onto something there, Brian. That is why they were designed that way. But so I mean, I guess Jamie, you probably can't speak as much on this, but in the workplace, like how do you think being a woman is different from being a man? I mean, Jamie, I'm sure you understand enough, and you played sports in school, so you understand that dynamic. So, how do you guys feel like it's different trying to do those things as a woman versus maybe as a man?
I wouldn't know because I work with a bunch of women.
Okay, and what is that like for you? You've worked around women, and then you've worked around men. So, who do you inherently prefer to work around?
Women.
And why is
Women
that?
work harder.
But you were also all right, I will personally say, just from knowing the men you've worked with, it is just the men you've worked with.
I mean,
Quit leaning on the table.
would you shut up?
Quit leaning on the table, and I won't say anything.
I don't want to be sexist or anything, but would you hire a woman to move a fridge for you?
Never mind. Maybe she's a lesbian. What? Obviously, I mean, I don't mean that in the wrong way, because there's some lesbians that I wouldn't hire to move a fridge, but what? I don't just mean.
It's making yourself sound worse.
I don't want to laugh, but I'm only laughing because of him.
Well, would you hire every lesbian to move a fridge?
Why does it matter if she's lesbian?
What?
Why does it matter?
There's plenty of lesbians I would hire, and some lesbians I wouldn't.
Why? What's
does
the
it
difference?
Because I think just from what I've seen, the homosexual crowd around here, at least with the women, well, I guess even with the men, you usually find, I don't know what word I'm supposed to use, so I'm going to use one. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. You usually see like the butches. And like the, more traditional female. Am I wrong with that? Think about all the couples that you guys have seen. That's usually how it goes, right? And whether that's because the woman just inherently wants something close to a man but doesn't want a man, which leads them to wanting those type of women.
But that's not always the case.
No, not always. Obviously, it's not 100% right with this, but I think the butch to regular female ratio is pretty even. What do you guys think?
I haven't seen a lot of openly gay couples around here.
I mean, I've only seen a couple, but the ones I've seen follow that pattern, so that's all I can draw from it. I mean, I can't say anything else. But that's why it's like 50-50 on lesbians I would hire to move a fridge.
Okay, but what does them being a butch have
yeah.
anything to do with moving a fridge?
I think they're just inherently better at moving fridges.
Why?
Okay, so Brandon, I know you don't want to sound bad, and that's why you're not fucking saying it, but he is under the impression that a butch is going to be a bulldog, right? So they're
Just
actually
say more manly.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say, and you just kind of took over there. I just think they're inherently closer to a man. And there's men I wouldn't hire to move a fridge. I mean, obvious. I'm not hiring him to move a fridge.
Is it because he's gay?
No, I don't care that he's gay. That doesn't bother me. It's the fact that I've seen him try to move close to fridges before, and it doesn't turn out well.
How close do you think he's gotten to moving something heavy?
It took him a half hour to get that chair in here, so I don't even think it's even possible. So, I mean, that's nothing against lesbians. I love lesbians, But, and I think...
they make some real great work on Pornhub, I'll tell you what.
Well, I think... All right, here's a question. Would you rather be raised by two men or by two women?
I'm not
I don't
answering
think
that.
it matters.
Okay, so you don't think it... I think that's a good thing.
Well,
Why are you not answering it?
I don't think it matters. I think either way is fine.
Well, I'm not saying either way is wrong. I just think when it comes to two women, I feel like they're both going to skew naturally. Like you get the real discipline, and then the not discipline. Then you get the real motherly affection, and maybe not as much. I don't know if men are just inherently as good at providing that affection as women are. So that's where I think.
I think that if we had a group of women here and we asked them, most of them would probably say two guys. And I'm just using logic to the extent of, you always hear like mama's boy and daddy's girl, right?
Yeah. That
because, women usually have a stronger connection with their dad than they do their mom.
Just a second. Why are you making assumptions when you have two women that can tell you?
That's
Because you didn't answer.
Because it doesn't matter.
I would be fine with either one.
Well, I'm just saying which one do you guys think? What do you think the differences are? You don't have to choose one. Just how do you think it would be different?
I don't know. I don't think that it really affects anything significantly.
Well, no, I don't think at the end of the day it's going to be that. Obviously, it's going to depend. Each man is different. Each woman is different. So, I think it's going to come down more.
So I'm saying a man could have just as much as a motherly effect as a woman.
There's some really good dads out there that are
single.
affectionate.
Yeah.
They're single.
Well, I think that
Usually, do you see like a man that's really affectionate toward their kids that has the mom there? No.
My experience, no.
No. Right? That's what I'm saying.
I'm not gonna say it.
Was your father affectionate towards you, Brian?
I was gonna say something about Jamie, but I'm not.
Well, answer my question.
What?
Was your dad affectionate towards
I think
you?
that my mom was more affectionate than my dad was.
Okay. Well,
Your mom babies you.
I think-
Don't you think that.
I think with you, like your dad wasn't at home as much. I think that was also a big thing. But usually when your dad was
he went
home,
to get cigarettes. I don't know how many times.
well, I would too, having you as my kid. I think a big part with you is whenever your dad was home, you were constantly getting on his nerves. So that might be why.
When I turned like 15, I mean, I still do it now to some extent, but I always thought that it was the funniest thing ever to piss my mom off. And like just do random stuff that would piss her off. Like I would either say something to her that I know would piss her off, or
I think that might be a you thing.
Yeah, I never did that with my grandmother. I did not try to piss her off.
Her reactions are what I thought was funny. Because she'd get mad over stuff for no reason. I'm sure that you can vouch for this because we've known each other.
I mean, looking back on it, she was completely reasonable in what she was asking you to do that you refused to do. It was not unreasonable to ask you to get off of your computer at midnight on a school night.
It was at 9. Thank you very much.
Well, if you would have listened, she wouldn't have shut your power off.
Okay.
So, do you guys believe in corporal punishment?
Explain.
Whooping that ass is another term for children.
Discipline.
Oh, like parents?
Discipline?
Well, no, beyond discipline, because there's other ways discipline, but like...
Beyond discipline.
Excuse me?
Beyond discipline? What do you mean?
Like there's some people who don't believe in whooping their kids' behind. That they use timeouts and positive and negative reinforcement, positive and negative punishment, that type of stuff. So do you guys believe it's right to smack your kids on the behind or in the face? Whatever you're into, just let me know.
Whatever you're into. I mean, I'm fine. I got spanked as a kid.
So you'll punch a kid in the nose, no problem?
I mean, I would not full on drop kick a child, so.
I can't go to that extent, but I mean, I got spanked. I think I got slapped in the mouth like once.
I did too.
So, and I deserved it every single time. And it made me a better person for it.
Do you think it should be the last resort?
Yeah. There's steps that you should take before.
Steps that you should definitely take before you go.
There's a reason why there's so much bratty kids now.
Because they're not disciplined.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's so much just the fact that we've geared away from that. I think we've geared away from disciplining at all.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
because like
lack of discipline.
you don't have to whoop them on the behind to discipline them, but like they're afraid to put them in timeout. They're afraid to
or
take
say no.
Like they won't take anything away from their kids or say no. I think that's where it comes from for whatever reason. I mean,
because they'd rather not deal with their kid having a tantrum and stuff.
Yes.
They'd rather just let them do whatever.
So they just give in.
who does that sound like?
We're not talking about that right now.
I mean, it pisses me off when parents don't discipline their children, especially in public. Because the last time I went to a restaurant, there were kids like crawling up over the booths and throwing food and stuff.
That's crazy.
And I just like, why do you not do anything? Like, I don't understand that. I mean,
But none of us are parents either.
at the same time, I can tell you that I will not tolerate that. We will leave the restaurant.
We can say one thing and
I
then
will do
another.
Yeah, but there's like common decency.
I know.
You can't let your child bother other people in public.
It's rude.
And that's what you can say. I will not let my child be rude.
Yeah.
What do you think if you magically had a kid and that you didn't get rid of?
He would lock it in a cage.
Yeah, I would. I actually have a kennel over there. I'd probably let the dog actually be out of the kennel and
Put your child in there.
he's being bad or he's being good. He's in the kennel.
I don't think Uncle Brian's babysitting.
No.
Do you have any other topics written down? I can keep making these up, but do you have anything?
I had something that I wanted to say.
Well, say it.
Yeah, I don't remember.
You don't have to ask my permission.
I don't entirely remember what it was.
Yeah, you didn't tell me to remind you.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
Has Brian ever hit you, Jamie?
No.
That was very quick, almost like he trained that response.
No.
Can I see your knuckles, Mr. Strout?
Oh, I remember now. So I
subject.
had a podcast that I did with Jacob that was unreleased because
Thank God.
it was pretty shit. Like the responses were very defensive instead of informative.
Constructive.
Yeah. So we're talking about like whether you should punish your kid or not, but I have another question that like when you're in school, do you think that they're taking like the anti-bullying stuff way too far? Because you know that kids now are, I don't want to sound like a boomer, but I'm gonna have to say entitled because they think that everything, should be handed to them pretty much, and I'm wondering if maybe we should just bring bullying back.
Bullying never went away for one.
Well, they really struck down on like the bullying stuff. You some kid comes up to you, punches you in the mouth, and you're like, ow, and you go tell the principal, you both get suspended for
I don't think usually in that scenario you would get suspended.
You don't get suspended unless you fight back.
Yeah, unless you.
Now, should you get suspended for hitting him back?
Well, you have...
I mean, at some point, they're getting suspended, so that's kind of what the argument for you shouldn't hit them back.
Yeah, but if they're just sitting there whooping your ass, you have to do something about it.
I was always told that if that happened, to defend myself.
Well, and that's the way the law will look at it. So why is the school not adding up with what the law is?
Because zero tolerance means that the victim gets punished too.
But then they say zero tolerance
It's like
for
two
bullying.
wrongs don't make a right type of
that
thing.
bullshit.
But then they don't. But then when you see a kid getting bullied and they go tell the principal, they just, we don't have any proof. We can't say anything.
And that's where the school system fails.
But I also think, it needs to start at home. You need to teach your kid not to be an asshole. It's not the teacher's responsibility.
Well, that should already be... your child should not act like that. You're starting out like that, yes. But your child also has their own emotions and their own will to act like that. Because I've seen a bunch of parents that raise their child to not act like that. Like, what do you think about people that murder other people? There's been families where they know that they didn't raise their child like that, and yet their child still ended up being a murderer.
Well, usually in that, I would say that's a case-by-case type
Why
basis.
did you point at me?
No, I was pointing at the mic, because she's like all back here, like screaming at the wall. Yeah, she's going to murder one of us.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were being.
I'd have killed Brian already. I don't know how she's not this long. That's a case-by-case thing, though. You can't bring that into this type of argument because...
Why not, though?
Well, I said because, and then you cut me off. That kind of implies I'm getting ready to explain why. You can nitpick a case all you want and make it apply to what you want. Like, you can find evidence for any type of point you want to make. So, I think, as far as murdering people, some people should get murdered. Some people shouldn't. What? Some people should and some people shouldn't.
It's a population control thing.
If you're murdering somebody that should be,
Good on you.
I ain't gonna say nothing. Just don't murder me.
Okay. This really got off topic, okay? But now that you say
murder is right.
Now that you say that murder is right. So okay. If somebody like breaks into your house, rapes your wife. Okay. Now this is a hypothetical, okay? Someone breaks in, rapes your wife, and you don't go to the police about it right away, and you go a couple days later. So she never had like whatever I think it's like a pap
rape
smear or whatever.
Rape kit.
A rape kit.
Rape kit, yeah.
Pap smear.
I don't know. Okay, so there's no proof that happened, and the dude doesn't get in trouble for it.
Where was
Is it
I?
okay to murder him?
Yeah,
Where was
he that
I
he
while the dude
letting
was
a person
raping
rape
my
him?
wife?
What?
Where was I while the dude was raping my wife?
Maybe he tied you up.
I think I'm gonna go to the cops right away. In what scenario would we not go to the police?
Most of the time, women are afraid to report rapes because they don't want to be looked at like that, right?
I feel like in that situation, you probably.
But
would
your
go
husband's
to
there and
yeah.
he knows what happened. I think it would be different if like the husband wasn't there and it happened, right? Because then the woman feels like the guys might think that she cheated on him and whatnot. But
Is
to
it
answer
okay
your
to murder?
point, no, because I think you need to go to the police about it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, in the same instance, you go to the police, they arrest the guy, and when the trial's finished, nothing happens to the guy because insignificant evidence.
Well, I mean, at that point, you can't kill him because you're suspect number one. So,
Would it be okay to get
I feel like in the instance of that happening, if you were able to shoot that person at that time, would you do it?
while he's raping my wife,
Yes.
I'll pop a cap in his ass.
All right. So murder would be right in that situation.
Well, but is that really murder?
At that point, it's self-defense.
Self-defense.
Well,
Yeah.
defense, I guess.
No,
Yeah, not really.
I'm talking like the
self-defense.
guy gets off.
Well, yeah, it's why he's raping my wife.
No, like the guy gets off and doesn't get any jail time or anything, and he's out and free.
I don't know. But, I mean, regardless of whether it's right, would you be able to plot that person's murder? Like,
Is it a plot if you just pull up to his house, pop?
well, yeah, you had to plan to go there and bring the
Premeditated.
guy. That is premeditated. Well, I mean, if you did it like in the courtroom, it'd be a crime of passion, second degree murder. But that's like premeditated. what
Brandon's
you're
already
talking
thought
about.
all this through.
He
already knows everything's going to happen.
If you if someone breaks into your house and you shoot them, depending on where it
Wow.
hits them at, you could get in trouble for it.
Well, I don't know if that West Virginia is one of those states or not, but I know what you're talking about.
We were always told if you're going to shoot somebody, to shoot them in the head. That way that you know.
No.
Well,
Yeah.
if
Cops are trained to shoot at center mass because that's where you're most likely to hit.
But there's a chance of them not dying from that.
But if you pop a cap in their ass, I don't think they're going to finish raping your wife.
All right, let Brian talk.
If they do continue, then they
Let
deserve
Brian
it.
talk.
if you shoot somebody that broke into your house in, let's say, like the kneecap or something where they can never walk again, that's your fault.
No.
They can never walk
If
again.
it's
They
below
can
the
sue
waist,
you
that's
for
not
doing
attempted
that.
murder.
No, they can sue
They
you
can
for
sue
doing
you.
Yeah,
that.
they can sue you.
But I mean, more than
That doesn't make any sense.
99.9% of the time, you're not going to get it because
But
they
there's
ran the
always
act
that chance.
Well, but when you're in the act of committing a felony, that type of lawsuit is effective.
Yeah, but they could just say, I wasn't doing that.
I didn't break their window open and climb in through it and cut myself open.
I
That's
was
not
trying
my
to
fault.
deliver their mail.
inside their
On the
safe.
Amazon delivery.
I wanted to make sure it got there safely.
All
I
right.
knocked twice, nobody answered. I kicked the window down.
All right, we have to take a short break. We're running out of time here, so I guess we'll see you guys in a second. All right, here comes the mid roll. Listen to it or don't. I don't give a fuck. Still get paid for it. All right.
But we don't.
Oh, he got me. And we're back. Brandon,
Yes.
do you think it's weird if you could suck your own dick?
If you can, you can. It's a talent. Everybody has them.
Anybody else want to say anything?
I have no comment.
I don't think it's weird. If you can do it, do it.
All right. All right. Now on a less hearted topic here. If you think of memorable things from your childhood, I don't know how to ask this question, Brandon. You're going to have to do it.
My question is, why do you make noises when you're not sure what to say?
It's better than dead space.
No, it's not. You don't remember that white teacher that talked like he was black that yelled at you for doing that?
I don't know what you're talking about, but I don't think that's the topic.
Well, either way, what Brian's asking is, like, how has... There's a common belief that events from your childhood mold who you are later. You know, do you guys think that's true, or do you guys think it's bull?
I mean, yeah. I think it's true. I don't really have any examples.
Well, like, you didn't finish high school, so how has that affected you as an adult?
Not being able to find a good job. Well, I have a good job. Not being able to do the job I want.
Because I feel like there's more and more jobs now that don't care if you have a high school diploma. Contrary to what people think. Like, there's a lot of places that don't even ask anymore.
The job I particularly want, you need to have one.
Well, obviously, but I mean, that's so that it's keeping you from having the job that you want.
Yes.
What about you, Jamie?
I think that it's true. Because everybody learns and develops their personality and preferences and stuff through experiences. And if you don't have the experiences, then you're not going to grow as a person.
Well, like, you grew up with a brother, and like somebody that didn't have a brother is going to have different experiences, right?
Yeah.
So like that's a big deal. Siblings and no siblings. You grew up with what, 2 sisters?
I didn't grow up with them. They were a lot older than me.
Okay, so how does that affect you having siblings that are old enough to be your mother?
It's really weird. I'm glad that you brought this up. So you know how you see in like movies and stuff, or you know, it might just happen to you like it has to me quite a few times, but like you fuck with the wrong person's sister, their brother comes and just says that he's gonna fuck you up.
It's never happened to me, but it has happened to you.
Yeah. So
you kind of deserved it.
So yeah, I feel like that's a common thing that happens, right?
And you never had that.
I never experienced that.
Because...
But am I supposed to, are my sisters supposed to look for my approval on who they date? Probably not.
I don't think that should happen at all anyway.
I think that does happen.
It does happen, but it shouldn't happen.
Well, I think it comes from, like, you know, a lot of times if you have an older brother, they can normally tell you what a guy's intentions are. Now, sometimes they just blow it out of proportion and don't want you to date anybody, and nobody's going to be good enough. But, like, there's a lot of times where, like, the brother really can help with that.
Yeah.
So
I grew up with two older sisters, so I just watched them get their hearts broken then.
Well, that's another thing. Like, you know, if you don't have that, like, I'm not as quite as bad as Brian, but my siblings were both older. And let's see, I think one is, damn it, I don't know if they're like 20 or 30 something.
It's like 28 or 29, and it's like 25 or 26.
I should bleed out the name, shouldn't I?
I don't care. I think one's like 10 years older than me, and one's 8, or maybe one's 8 and one's 7. Or 9 and 7. I think it's 9 and 7.
Mine's 5 and 7.
So I think so I think mine are 9 and 7 or something like that. So my brother didn't live with us. He lived with my dad, and I lived with my grandma, and my sister lived with different people within the family. So, you know, I didn't have that either. Like, where like you pretty much, you may as well have been a single child. Mm-hmm. Except, I don't know, your one sister was around a lot.
I actually thought you were an only child.
Yeah.
I do.
Well, they're twins, so there's not really a middle sister. Yeah.
But you know which one I'm talking about. The
I
one that was
didn't
there
know he
a
had
lot
twin
more often
sisters
than the
either.
other one.
Yeah, and that's just because, you know, she wanted to keep going back to school and not having to pay for an apartment for no reason.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So, like, you kind of had it, but not in the way that because most people, for whatever reason, it's always like an older brother. Except, well, I mean, yours is your younger brother, but...
Yeah,
like,
well, I didn't have that experience at all because I was kind of like the experiment child.
And your brother was just an accident.
Because I was the first kid, so like, I had to experience all of the things first, and then kind of like...
Her parents had to like use different techniques to see how she responded.
And somehow he's the one that still ended up fucked up.
So, yeah. I mean, usually it's the other way, because, like, they'll be, like, really strict on the first one, and then just, you know, somewhere in the middle on the second one, and then just give up by the third one.
For my parents, the first one, they were way more strict, and then a little more lenient, and then when it came to me, it was just kind of like...
Well, your parents also split up.
That's true.
I think you're the only one whose parents are still together, right?
No, Jamie's mom and dad are still together.
Oh, are
No,
they?
they're not.
Oh, I would say I'm 99% sure they're not, but you should know better than me. So yeah, you're the only one whose parents are still together.
Yeah.
I think it's only because Frankie is never home.
So
He's
they
got a
don't have an
buffer.
opportunity to get
Well,
divorced.
they don't have a buffer anymore because I'm not there to,
His
cause
buffer is his
shit.
job.
What?
His buffer is his job.
He's
He doesn't
always
have
at
to be
work.
there.
Well, I think what Brian meant is he was always there causing problems between himself and his parents, so they were always angry at him
Yeah, and
instead of getting mad at each other
that's probably where the empty nest syndrome comes from with my parents.
because they don't have you to, be tearing up their yard on a razor or, shooting fireworks off in the backyard or having airsoft fights and hitting the side of the house or.
That was a big one, and I don't know why.
Well, that should have been a big one because you could have busted up windows.
With an airsoft gun?
Yes. I busted out my grandmother's oven window with an airsoft gun.
I thought that was.
I don't think that's an airsoft gun. I feel like that'd be a BB gun.
I don't remember. It might have been a pellet gun, but we were going to shoot each other with them until we shot the oven out window out with him. So it's a good thing.
If it can shoot through glass, it can shoot through skin.
Well, we shot a cup first to see how it responded to the cup. And it was like slow motion. Like it hit the cup and then we all just saw it hit the glass and then time froze. And then the glass landed on the floor. So...
We are off topic.
Well, I mean, that's another thing. Like, have you ever experienced the terror of shooting out your oven window while your grandmother's not there? Yeah, I have. It was terrifying.
Who'd you blame it on?
I took the blame for it. It was my fault.
When I was younger, right after my parents split up, my mom decided she was gonna paint some of the house. So she had cans of paint sitting on the edge of the dryer in the laundry room, and she went to bed, and Caleb and I were like fighting, and we went running through the house, and we knocked over the can of paint, and it splashed everywhere. It was all over the floor. Went down the stairs.
You need to scoot closer to the mic.
And went down the stairs and everything, and we spent like 2 hours trying to clean it up, but obviously there was still dried paint all over the place, and we had to lie to my mom about where the paint went.
What was I don't think their mic's picking up anything. Are you seeing that?
Theirs is the bottom. Ours is the top.
So maybe, is ours not picking up anything?
No, it is picking it up, but they do need to scoot closer. Or not they, but Jamie in particular. Because
Well, they both do, I think. Okay. Was the top on the paint can on?
Yeah, and it popped open.
I was going to say, if it wasn't on, then that was her fault. But, I mean, if she put the top back on, you guys were just bratty little bastards.
Yeah.
You want to get to the topic now?
I don't remember what we were talking about, to be honest.
Alright, so...
I thought, how have your childhood experiences and traumas shaped you?
I feel like we've already answered that.
Well, I feel like, what did you guys watch growing up? Because I think this is going to be interesting. Like, Jamie, what did you watch growing up on TV?
Cartoons until I was like 8 or 9 years old, and then I started watching like Family Guy and stuff like that.
Well, I think that's the natural transition for like people our age is... For a reason, and I don't know if it's because Family Guy's in that cartoon style, but like that just attracts us like straight away from like SpongeBob.
Mine was like Degrassi.
Yeah, but, so you were like the stereotypical like preteen girl.
Yeah.
Like
And
Degrassi.
then went to Family Guy.
Twilight.
And then, no.
No. I think that was your sisters. I think that was more your sister's age group.
Yeah.
What about you, Brian?
What shows?
Or just or sports or whatever. I don't know. You never really watched TV, did you?
Okay, so what shows did you watch, Brandon?
I mean, I watched a lot of wrestling as a kid. That was a big thing. And SpongeBob was up there. When I was real little, I watched Bob the Builder. And I think that's why I like playing The Sims so much. I think that kind of started that. What else? I don't know, cause like we had cable, but like we just had like the basic channels. Like the only thing I really watched was like until I got a little bit older. When I got older, I watched like basketball, but I really just watched like wrestling and cartoons. Like that was 99%, and then movies. Like what movies did you guys like as kids?
The Lion King.
Yeah, Disney movies.
I liked like Roadhouse and what else was it? Friday the 13th.
Our childhoods are very different.
What about you?
I liked scary movies. Like when I was
I did
little,
too.
I think my favorite movie was Insidious. Like the very first Insidious.
I don't know. You were old. You were like 10 years old when Insidious came out.
Yeah, what are you classifying as childhood?
I mean, anywhere from because I'm guessing where you were old enough to kind of choose what you were watching. So probably like 7 or 8 to like 14.
I can't remember anything before I was 12.
Right, that kind of sounds like
Were you touched as a
molested.
child? I can't remember anything.
How would
before
I know
was
whether
12.
I was molested or not?
Go get like regression therapy or whatever, and then you'll find out.
That's kind of the point that you don't want to remember.
So why would I want?
Okay.
Now you're nervous.
Yeah.
I know.
Now you're thinking.
I'm sweating.
Yeah. Yeah, well, because, all right, so knowing those parameters, what would you guys say that you watched as a child? Because we went from The Lion King to Insidious. So
Well,
that was a pretty big jump.
from when I could decide what to watch, I started watching like scary movies and then foreign films.
Foreign.
Yeah,
It's kind of weird.
That is.
sorry.
Well, no, it's just
Sorry.
like, no, I like some foreign films, but like people are our age range are either the neckbeards that love foreign movies and refuse to watch anything made in America.
I wasn't talking about like hentai or
If she didn't
anything.
No.
shave, Brandon,
Huh?
If she didn't shave, she would have a neck beard.
Did I miss a spot?
Or like the older people that just prefer like foreign films, like, you know, the Human Centipede and shit like that.
I just think some foreign films have a different perspective that we don't see in like cinema over here.
That's a
It's
good
different.
point. Yeah.
So like UK humor. Do you watch The Office, the
No,
UK
I refuse.
version?
I tried and it was awful.
We watched The Office, but looking back on it, I
The
hate
UK
it.
version of the
Nah, I
Office?
don't like the US version.
The Shameless, you watch Shameless?
You don't like the
in
US
UK?
version?
No, well, you know, I liked the first couple seasons, but like it just got like so cheap and like you could predict what was going to happen every episode because the character development I feel like was sub what it should have been.
You only watched it because I watched it.
Well, yes, that's how it started. But the more I watched it, the less I was interested in the characters. It was obvious that Jim and Pam were going to get married at some point. It might have taken a while, but it was going to happen. No matter what relationships they got into, you could not be emotionally invested in it because you knew they were going to break up so
That's
Jim and
the
Pam could be
point.
together. But you knew they were... No, I want to be emotionally invested in the relationship to only be more emotionally invested once they break up for
The
Jim
whole
and
point
Pam.
of the funniness is that it's pointless.
I don't like pointless
Well,
comedy.
the whole transition for that entire thing was to like build up kind of a frustration so when they finally
Yes.
got together it was satisfying.
I see where they were trying for it. It just didn't
Because
resonate.
it took forever.
It just didn't resonate with me because I knew eventually it had to happen.
Well, I think it's a little bit of a difference because you're a guy and you don't really like focus on those parts of.
But that could be it because I think you guys are going to be more invested in them getting together.
The first time that I watched The Office and I watched like that entire transition, I thought it was, good, and then the second time I watched it, it pissed me off.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
And why did it piss you off?
Because it was frustrating and I was like,
Because you already know that it happens eventually.
Oh, and you're like,
so
why
it's
don't
like,
they just get to it already?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you feel like they wasted a lot of time.
It was unnecessary at that point, but the first time that you watch it, it's interesting.
It's
Because it
satisfying.
like builds up.
You
yeah.
don't know.
I guess the first time I watched it, I was okay with it.
But I just turned it on at night to go to sleep, so therefore we were watching it over
Well,
and over and
that's
over.
why a lot of shows that I like get ruined because I loved It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia till she played it 24/7, and then I started to hate it. I loved Psych until she played it 24/7, and then I started to hate
Because
it.
I have to
I loved
watch
Family
stuff
Guy
when I go
until
to
she started playing it
sleep.
24/7. I loved Monk until she started playing it 24/7.
You and Brian have a lot to talk about on this subject.
What shows have Jamie ruined for you? Are you
So
okay?
back on topic.
No, answer the question.
No, we're getting real off topic. We need to steer back
This
in the right
topic
direction.
is better than your topic.
So, what is something that you can remember from your childhood that is affecting you right now? Like today. Not today in particular, but like in the present.
Well, I think the fact that I watched wrestling as a child and got so emotionally invested into those storylines and like the relationships, I think that's caused me to be a more emotional person in general because I can get more emotionally invested in other people because watching wrestling taught me what emotions to feel.
Even though it was all fake.
But that's not what it's about. If you're watching it for the right, it's like watching a movie.
It's the storyline, even though it's scripted.
There's a storyline in wrestling.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, if you're just watching it and you know, that's where the misconception comes.
Trust me, I don't understand it either.
Well, this is where the misconception. It's like watching a movie. Do you care that Bruce Lee didn't actually get thrown out of a moving car? No, because you're suspending your disbelief to think, oh, that's badass. But with wrestling, people are so quick, oh, that's fake. And trust me, they're getting hit in the head a lot more than the stuntmen in Hollywood are. So they their storylines are there and their emotion is there, and if you watch the right type of wrestling, you will get emotionally invested in it. If you're just watching two idiots beat the hell out of each other for fun, that's different. If you're in Cletus's backyard hitting each other with lead pipes, that's different.
Okay. But what about wrestling is making you emotional or more emotional?
Well, the more I read a book in like my 4th grade year. That was written by Chris Jericho. It was his first book called A Lion's Tale. And that was kind of the first thing I had, like, hey, you know, something's not on the up and up here, you know? Like, something's going on here. And, like, that's where it broke kayfabe for me, and I learned the stories behind the wrestling. And that's a lot about what he talked about. And when you learn what these guys are going through, putting themselves through to entertain people like us, you can't help but to become more emotionally invested, not just in the wrestler, but the person behind the character.
Okay.
Okay, so is there any deeper things other than just watching wrestling?
Well, that is deep to me because that's what taught me, you know, how to become emotionally invested in a situation.
I know this is going to be a little bit off topic, but so this is a discussion that I've had with my therapist, and I just can't get behind what his answer to it is. But he said, you know, we were talking about emotions and stuff, and I'm like, I really don't think that I let emotion take over like my decision making process and stuff. For sure, I've told you about that part, but
no, we never talked about this particular instance with the intern that you never actually talked to the therapist at. But yeah,
so anyway, do you think that if you grew up and you didn't have any death in your family, you never had to deal with that type of situation, not relatives, not friends, nothing, that you would know how to act towards someone that is going through that?
Well, let's let them answer. I feel like we've taken over. I mean, let me ask first, did you guys have death in your family growing up?
I've had a lot of death in my family.
I don't feel like you deal with death very well, just knowing you, like...
What makes you say that?
Well, not that you don't I don't think you're very emotional outwardly.
Not outwardly.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I'm sure you deal with it on the inside and get through it, but I don't think, like, in the traditional sense of, like, bawling at the funeral, like, that's probably not Jamie, right?
No.
What about you? I feel like you're more outward at the end, but through it all, you try to keep it together.
I basically hold it in until I can't.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a lot of death in my family growing up.
When you were a child.
Not until I was 17 and grandma passed. I mean...
So you kind of got lucky. So you didn't know how to experience it.
Not really.
So if you lost somebody now, you'd be much more equipped to deal with it, right?
I wouldn't say that. It's not an easy thing to deal with, but I would know how to react to another person that's going through it, and that's like what he...
Well, yeah, that's more of what you were asking.
So for me, I wouldn't really know... I mean, you still deal with it as a friend, but you wouldn't know exactly how they were feeling at that time to really tell them, hey, everything's going to be okay, because you don't know if it's going to be okay.
Well, I don't think you could ever say, yes, it's going to be okay.
I know, but...
But it's like, you can get through this, and you will get better, but...
See, but I wouldn't know that because I hadn't went through it.
You had almost no death in your family, right?
Still.
You still haven't? I know, like, people we know in high school have passed away, but, like, even for you, like, I don't think anybody you were even friends with has passed away, right?
Yeah, that's true. And the point that I was trying to get at was... especially like I'm mentioning, like talking to my therapist about this, is that if you never experienced it and you also, you know, haven't really got behind or watched any of those movies where you see other people reacting to it, that emotion to sympathize with somebody
is like non-existent.
it is trained is what I'm trying to say. It's not something that just comes to you naturally.
I think that you can pick that up without like being trained because it's a pretty basic thing.
It's empathy. Like, it's a basic emotion.
I think that that's trained. I don't think that
I don't
that's
think
just
that it's
something that you
trained.
have.
I mean, just because
Unless you're a really emotional person, I don't think that's
just
something
because
that
you
is...
haven't dealt with that specific event, you still can recognize that it's a bad thing that's happening to somebody.
And that person is in pain.
They're not
emotionally
feeling good about it, so what you can do is just be there for them. It's not that bad, like, it's not that hard to figure out.
Well, I think, Brian, you're also just...
Sorry.
What?
Nothing. She just seems butthurt. What were you saying?
Well, no, because she feels like you're trying to say that if you don't go through it, that you can't help. And that's not
Because
true.
even though I haven't went through it, I would still know, like, on a
Basic level.
Yeah, on a basic level, to just be a friend and be there for them.
Well, I think what it is, it's not a person problem, it's a Brian problem.
Yeah,
because
Brian
Brian
problem.
himself cannot pick up on other people's emotions and know how to deal with it.
I've tried to get better, but she was going through something with one of her grandpas that she told me that she wasn't like close with, and she was
So you just
distraught.
assumed.
She was distraught about it, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I don't understand.
He was very rude to me through that entire thing.
So you just could not understand why she felt that way about somebody she
Yeah,
wasn't
because
close with.
I have grandpas that are relatives that have passed away that I wasn't close to, and
You didn't care.
I could give less of a shit.
No, but the thing about that situation was I wasn't close to him, like, to the point, like, before his death, but I was close to him at some point. And when that person dies, you kind of focus on the better times rather than the bad. So you're going back to, like, the better things.
Who's a friend that you've been, you were close with in high school?
Paige?
No. Like,
No.
that doesn't work.
What are you talking about?
That you're not close to now. That you're close
Oh.
to in high school.
Probably Dream.
No.
Well, because you still talk.
Say no to
No, Brian wants like somebody you don't even talk to anymore. Because like you still talk to her, but
I
you
talked
see
to her in passing as like an acquaintance, and I try to make plans with her, but nothing ever comes of it.
Well, I think Brian wants even less than that, but
Okay,
with
Athena.
you, okay. Does
I'm
that
just
work?
saying.
Is that
what-
okay, Mr. Stroud?
What'd she say?
Athena.
Athena.
Okay, so no, she
Yeah.
wasn't
Oh,
friends
yes.
with
No.
her. She isn't friends with her. They hate each other. Now, let's
What
just
do you
say.
want?
Let's
He wants-
just say. Okay, I'm obviously bleating out these names and stuff, but
I don't
let's
care.
say if
I say everybody.
or somebody that I was friends with, pretty good friends
Put
with,
that on
and
the
not
table.
friends with anymore, they pass away.
I just don't think that you form emotional connections.
I don't think you
Yeah,
understand.
I don't think you get it.
Because like even when Krosky passed away, we hadn't been close for 2-3 years. I hadn't seen him since my wedding. That still hurt me emotionally. If were to die, I mean, I don't think it would hurt me as much as Krosky passed away, but that would still hurt me. And me and you were like the same exact level of friendship with him. And, well, I don't know. I might have been a little bit closer to him, but
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought we were talking about. I was gonna say I didn't talk to Krosky, but
well, no, like with me and you are on almost the same exact level of friendship with him that we have.
and you'd be
Is that fair to say?
you'd be mad.
And I know I wouldn't be. Well, it depends. Obviously, every circumstance is different, but I would be upset. Yeah,
if he like overdosed or something.
yeah. Passed away, car wreck, was murdered. Doesn't matter. I would be upset.
Maybe you do need to see a therapist.
Well, what would you
What?
do if one of your sisters
Oh.
died?
Well,
That's
kind of
another.
extreme.
That's another thing.
Yeah, but
that-
he's not close to either of his sisters.
That's another thing that I would be like, okay, let's say that one of them needed a kidney or something, something that I could give, but because I have two of them, I would weigh, like I'm a match for them. I would weigh whether or not to give it to them or not. I wouldn't just be like, I'm going to do it, I'll do it. It's like, well, the reason that she needs a kidney is it because she, what is kidneys
Drank.
like drinking? Like
Can be, can it?
It's liver.
No, I think kidneys are fake because they filter everything, right? Yeah.
Okay, so if one of them needed it because of that,
You probably wouldn't.
yeah.
Or at least it would be harder for you to.
But that wasn't the question. What would you do if one of your sisters
They died.
I mean, obviously, I'd be at the funeral and stuff.
But would you be upset about it?
I think it's just hard for him to answer because he doesn't know how he would feel. I don't think you would be upset until like 6 months after. Is what I feel like would happen.
What would you do if I died?
Move out.
Well, how did you die?
Oh my gosh.
I don't think I've ever seen you cry.
I cried at the Pokemon movie.
I think someone has problems.
He happens to cry when I am not conscious or anything. I've never seen him.
How you won't cry at the Pokemon movie, but not if your sister dies? Don't get me wrong, I cried
I think
too,
that it
but...
could have something to do with me just never experiencing anything like that.
So you don't know. You can't answer this question.
Yeah, that's why I seem so dumbfounded to this.
I know, but even the thought of one of my family members dying makes me want to cry.
Well, I don't know, because for me, like, I would cry more if my brother died than if my sister died. Because I had more of a relationship with my sister than my brother.
Okay, but you said that backwards. You said that you would cry more for your brother.
Because I haven't had that connection with him to be able to say, we were close, we had that relationship, and now it's over.
I can back that up because when my real grandma died,
You didn't have that closure because you didn't get to have this experience.
Yes, I bawled my eyes out. I mean, considering I was only like 10, but I bawled my eyes out because I didn't get to have that connection with her because she was my real grandma and my dad was adopted. So.
Yeah, so I think Brian, there's nothing on there.
Yeah, it just blinked. That's why I'm asking what the numbers are.
This is 1851.
Okay, so we still have a bit.
Yeah, so I would probably cry more if my brother died in that scenario. But obviously, I don't think you can answer this question just because you don't know. You say one thing and you're probably going to do another thing. You might not cry at the funeral. I really don't know if you would. I don't think you would.
No, but do you think it's ridiculous for him to not be able to provide like any type of support whatsoever?
Yeah, yes. Because, well, I can't say ridiculous. I don't know if that's the word to use.
Well, do you think it's unfair?
I don't think the separation is he couldn't do it for himself. So I can't say it's unfair that he can't do it for you.
But even if it's just false support.
Well, he should at least try. He should do his best.
Yeah. So like something happened to her, she was going through something that you didn't quite understand. You would still try to make an effort to sympathize with
and you've
her.
done that on multiple occasions.
Yeah, but I understand emotions on a level that Brian doesn't. I can feel.
Now you're just taking up for him.
No, because I can feel an emotion that I've never felt that somebody else is feeling, and you know that you've seen this happen before.
Yeah.
I can feel an emotion that somebody's feeling. Brian can't feel an emotion he's supposed to feel himself. Now, I think as he grows and he becomes a more mature person and goes through more, he'll learn how to have that emotion.
I can tell you that I would cry if my mom passed away.
Because you were close with your mom. You spent all that time with your mom growing up.
And because when I moved out, I was having dreams that she dies.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Were you waking up crying?
Yeah. Not like entirely, but like I'd wake up with a wet pillow, whether that be cum or what. But
well, it's okay to say this. Like you're saying it like you're not supposed to be saying this, and that's okay. That's okay to say this.
Okay.
I don't know why you're paying for a therapist. Us three can get you in this room and take care of you. So, but what about your dad?
I never had any dreams about that or anything.
You don't have to have a dream about it.
I don't know how I feel about that because I didn't have a dream about it.
Like, do you think you would cry if your dad passed away? I don't think you would. At first. Like I said, I think your first big loss isn't going to hit you very hard until a couple months later.
Because the realization kicks in that you're never going to see them again.
Well, not so much that you're never going to see him again, but I just don't think... I think it's going to take that long for his body and mind to process everything. Because, like, right now, you talk about you only talk to your parents once or twice a week. You only see them once every other week, probably, right? So, you're not... the more visits, the more phone calls that you miss, the more it's going to set in for you. We shouldn't talk about this like we are because it's like now somebody's probably going to die.
Don't say that.
So is there anything else you can think of from your childhood that's affecting you today other than wrestling? Not today, but...
I mean, obviously I lost my mom and that
I think that's what we were
all.
all waiting for you to say.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's kind of obvious. Like, yeah, that affected me, but...
They don't know that.
I do.
One's my wife.
No, they...
Oh. Well, yeah, I guess you're right. But, yeah, obviously I didn't have my... Well, it's weird because your mother raised you, your mother raised you, your mother raised you. My mother didn't inherently raise me as my grandmother, even before she passed away. So... But
you still had visits with
obviously,
her.
I spent every weekend, and I lived with her before. So... It's not going to affect me as much as it would. Obviously, everybody is affected differently, but it would be different for you guys to have lost a mother than for me. Like, do you think you and your dad could have made it? Just you and your dad?
I'm way too similar to my dad.
So you don't think you guys would have had a very good relationship without your mom there?
No.
Do you think you and your dad could have made it? Just you and your dad? You think so?
Yeah.
Do you think you and your dad could have made it?
I don't know.
You're not sure?
No.
So, like... Obviously, I didn't have to live with my dad. I had my grandma, but we made it. But that's because I already had that. So on that end, it didn't change that much as far as like my living situation or anything like that goes. So I didn't have that big drastic change that people have. My parents got split up while my mom was pregnant. I didn't have to go through the separation and the divorce and the legal custody. I didn't have to go through all that. So, but
you did grow up without your mother.
Well, I grew up without a mother and a father.
Oh yeah.
I just had my grandma and my brother and sister, and obviously, but I can't sit here and say that affected me as much as it could have. Obviously, it did, but no matter what, losing anybody is something you work through and something you have to get better at. So, but I mean, there's plenty of stuff. Like you can sit here and go through your childhood, and something small is going to affect you largely in the long run.
Yep. And I think we need to wrap this episode up, and I think that was a pretty good one. What do we think, guys?
Therapist.
Good one? Good one? Come on.
Clapping to the damn...
Come on! Brandon.
I clap.
All right.
Go.
And we will see you guys in the next one.
Looking at the camera, it's done.
That one can't even see. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
I think most people listen to that on Spotify anyway.